Welcome to the podcast. We have an exciting session with Matt, and he'll introduce himself. With that, let me pass it to Matt. Welcome, Matt.
Andrew, I'm delighted to be here today. What an exciting sort of few months we've been going through. I mean, just in general, but especially from a supply chain perspective, it's been absolutely sort of remarkable. I think you and I sat down and had a chat about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and in just 3 weeks, things have changed dramatically. Some have been caused by things that are going on in the Middle East, which we're all familiar with. But there's also innovation, agents starting to buy things on behalf of people. It really is quite an exciting time to be around. Well, if I look at what we're doing at the moment, the agentification of any process, but in particular supply chain, afford us the opportunity to sort of break what I call an 80-20 rule. So traditionally, when we've looked at processes, and these are supply chain processes and other processes in an organization, we've spent 80% of our time working on the top 20% of whatever it may be. So fundamentally, that is shifting now. We can now send agents to go off and do that other 80% for us. So the first thing it affords us the opportunity to do from a supply chain perspective is look for optimizations in areas of the supply chain that we would not normally have had time, energy, or really just a return on investment from a cost and resources perspective to go after. So that's the first thing that's kind of, I think, come out, and it's very interesting. I sort of sign up less to this idea that we're going to get rid of loads of people. And in fact, there was a study recently by Harvard, and they did this with operational processes with Procter and Gamble, and they showed that applying AI to an individual process or an individual working in that process was about a 17% increase in efficiency, but giving AI to that person and allowing them to go after that Pareto rule, allowing them to sort of extend their capabilities, was a 200% increase in efficiency. So first of all, I think that's where the optimization is going to come from when we look at this new generation supply chain.
The physics aspect of it, and when you are able to do faster mathematics, you're able to move physics faster, and that's incredibly powerful. And if math was slowing the physics, and now we are able to speed up math through agents, not only just do the math, but take actions for us. And the agentic commerce, as you mentioned, I did get one example in mind as I was thinking about it. We all experience ordering food, whether I'm sitting in San Francisco or London or in India. In India, in fact, the grocery delivery, for the most part, is 7 minutes. Think about the math and physics combining together and guaranteeing 7 minutes. And if so, why can't we make math 1 minute for every company, which is the planning, whether it's manufacturing or supply chain? So that's how I think about it. Now, for years, Matt, we have felt autonomous planning, felt aspiration for majority of the companies. What has fundamentally changed in the last 3 to 5 years that now makes this realistic at enterprise scale for most companies?
So, I mean, there's 3 things I think in this space that's made it possible. First of all, there's 3 C's, if you like. Cloud. So we can have the ability to store massive amounts of data at a very low cost. These systems have always been there, but they've been somewhat siloed. We have the opportunity to bring the data into one place and let the agents work across that data. And actually, that allows us to do concepts, not just to sort of optimize and speed up, but we have this concept of self-optimizing ERP or self-optimizing processes. So what's really cool is when we identify a process and then the agents start to work together to make that process more efficient. But the first enabler of that is the cloud. The second thing that's kind of an enabler is the connectivity. I think the ability to get sensor data in real time has never been better. A lot of, even the sort of tier 3 logistics providers, to use that example again, they give their drivers mobile phones that are quite capable of tracking their location, quite capable of giving information about where those goods are at only one point in time. That sort of data would have been very difficult to gather maybe 10 or 15 or even 20 years ago. So the ability to capture data at that point, and then as we've been talking all along, that cognition element is really important. There's a little sort of equation that a friend of mine came up with, and I like it. It's a bit cheesy. So it says AI plus experience is wisdom at scale, and I kind of like that. And I think if you're watching this and you're thinking, oh, AI. And by the way, I mean, Henry Ford had this sort of, he said, if you think something isn't going to happen, you're right. If you think it is going to happen, you're right. I almost feel that way about AI. Is if someone says, oh, I don't think AI is going to make a difference, you're probably right. If someone says, I think AI is going to change the world, you're probably right. It's really down to us and how we as individuals are going to drive this forward. But if you are someone that's watching this thinking, oh, it's a bit too much change for me, the thing I would say is the people that stand to gain the most out of AI are the folks in the organization that really get the process and the nuances of that business. 100%. You cannot encode 30 years of supply chain experience into an AI system. You can take the books and put it in there, but you can't take that judgment, that wisdom that someone has got over all those years. But what the AI can do is they can amplify that person. They can take that wisdom and instead of applying it to 10 product lines in a day, it can apply it to 10,000 product lines in a day. So if this stuff sounds scary and you're watching this, don't be scared, lean in on it, because potentially you're the person that might benefit the most from it. If you don't consider the needs of that agentic buyer, then you are not going to be on the list of those shops. So as a simple example, agents, when they come up to your workforce, will either want a protocol like the A2A commerce protocol that it can just talk to its other agent on the other side. But the very basic, it needs a vector search on the e-commerce site. It needs that vector search to be more effective in the way that it works. And so you've now got to think, the reason I'm going through all this is you need to think of your external processes, your customer, and your internal processes from the point of view of the agent. So what do you think happens if my agent, going by my Coraline roofing, comes to your website, it is not vector indexed, it can't search properly on it, it just moves to the next one, right? It doesn't matter how pretty the graphics are or how much you've done brand management. It doesn't care about brand management anymore. It just cares about reasoning to write the right solution for my customer. So that's my big sort of thing. When you're thinking of your business, think of your people processes, but also think of your agentic workforce and your agentic customer, and what do they need from you to be effective. And if you do that, I think you'll be in good stead.
These solutions to the customers in 4 weeks, and they can take it to production in under 3 months at a fixed price. Now, customers, when they look at it initially, typically the reaction has been, oh, we didn't think it's going to be that fast, right? Because they're not internally not ready and they need to scramble to get ready because as retailers, they are under pressure now. But the Google has truly democratized AI, and we are able to package that effectively to get to this